Hello learners, welcome to the Discrete Mathematics class series. I Kirti Sharma, working as an assistant professor in St. Andrews Institute of Technologies and Management. Here today we will discuss the algebraic structures in which we are discussing the group theory part. Okay. So basically this is the curriculum structure. The algebraic structure consists of three subsets like set theory, group theory and Boolean algebra, in which we needed as the prerequisite the knowledge of the set theory. So it's request to the learners, if you're not aware about the set theory, so first you have to study the set theory to understand the algebraic structure topic very well. So okay, so you can follow the set theory lectures so to understand this particular topic. If you're already aware about the set theory, then you can do continue with the algebraic structures. Okay, so in this particular lecture we will discuss the group theory topic. Okay, after that in next upcoming lectures we will discuss about the Boolean algebra also. So what about the algebraic structures? In algebraic structures, we have the categories under the group theory. We have these subparts to understand, right? First one, algebraic structure with the binary operations. Here some new terminologies will be there, so you will be getting the information about the each and everything here. So just have patience and to be stay tuned with the remaining content. Okay, so binary operations, we will discuss the first in next slide what about the binary operation. Then there are the different types of binary operation algebraic structures with one binary operation, in which we will discuss the semi group, monoids, groups and abelian groups. Okay, we will discuss them one by one. Then in the next approach we will discuss the algebraic structures with the two binary operations. In the two binary operations algebraic structures, we have the three subtopics that we have to study, like rings, integral domains and fields. Okay, it was all about the group theory that comes under the topic of the algebraic structure. It was the introductory part regarding our topic. So group theory. Group theory is generally a branch of the mathematics and abstract algebra in which that defines the algebraic structure. Algebraic structure. It is also named as a group. Okay, so this group is comprises as a set comprises of a set elements. That's why I've already told you the set theory knowledge is important here to understand this topic. Okay, so it's nothing that algebraic structure in which we have to study the group theory. It's a collection of the set any that should be the non-empty set, and the operation, that is a binary operation that we have to apply on that particular set. It's all about the algebraic structure. Okay, so it's a combination or a group of the non-empty set and the operation, that should be the binary operation. So first we will discuss the algebraic structure with the one binary operation, that means non-empty non-empty set with one binary operation. Then later on we will discuss the set with the multiple binary operation or two binary operations. Okay, so first we have to discuss the algebraic operation with the one binary operation, that means the non-empty set with one binary operation. Okay, so it was all about the history part of the group theory. Like in 1854 Arthur Curley has discovered he was the British mathematician who discovered this modern definition of the group that is shown here. Okay, so first we have to learn about the like what about the binary, what is the binary operator. As its name indicating, binary means two, right? So either the resultant after applying the operator, either you are getting the true or false, or you can say in zeros and ones, right? So binary will be the as the output after applying the operator, like you will get the resultant as a binary, right? So you have to define any set. It should be the non-empty according to the rule, right? Then you are defining some elements in set A here, and you are applying some operator. This is a symbol to defining the any binary operator. Symbol could be anything. It's not fixed that you have to use this specific symbol only, but you have to define the meaning of that particular symbol whatever you are using. So it's not specific like you have to use this particular symbol here. Okay, but it should be the binary symbol, binary operator. Operator should be the binary operator. Symbol you can use anything, whatever the symbol you are using to indicate the binary operator. You have to give the definition while declaring the statement itself, right? It was all about the binary operator. Next we have some postulates, axioms and properties. You can say postulates, axioms or properties of the mathematical systems in order to form the basics assumptions regarding like some postulates are given already here: closure axiom, associativity, identity, inverse axiom and commutative axiom. So right, so we will discuss these properties one by one or axioms one by one with the help of examples in order to implement these particular properties, like uh, how they are behaving in the group theory or in the with the algebraic structures. Okay, so we will discuss these things one by one. Okay, so stay tuned. So to discuss these things we have some next part, just hold on for we will do continue. So here we have the properties of the binary operations. First property is about the closure property that we are seeing here. What about the closure property? In all the algebraic by all the while discussing all the properties, we have same thing regarding the algebraic structure. First we have to take the non-empty set, then one binary operation should be there, right? So closure means if you are applying any operation, any star operation, as I've already mentioned, the star doesn't mean multiplication, it means any operation. You are giving the definition of that symbol whatever you are using as the operator symbol. Okay, so what is the mean of the closure property? If you are applying any operator, binary operator on any set A, and after applying the operator on the elements of set A, whatever you are getting as the resultant, it also must belong to that particular set A only. If it is, if this is it is so, then you can say this is the this particular algebraic structure is satisfying the property of the closure property. Okay, so with the help of example we can understand this particular closure property. Here a, small a and small b are the two elements that belongs to the A set. Here a and b are the elements of the set A, and we are taking the plus star as the operation here, right? So one more example, we are taking the plus addition as the operator on the set of integers. So integer can be any integer, like infinite number of integers exist, so there should be the non-empty set. It is not mentioned here, it should be finite or infinite, it could be any one, like finite set or infinite set, but it should be non-empty, right? So we are applying here in this example the addition operation on the set of integers, right? So I have already mentioned here the operation plus on the set of integers is a closed operator. What it means, if you will add two integers, as a resultant whatever you will get, it will also belong the set to the set of the integers itself, right? So that's why it's satisfying the closure property. One more example for the finite set, like three elements are there in the set A, minus 1, 0 and 1. We have the two operators, we have to apply these two operators individually. First, if we apply the addition operator on the set A, then we will get, like for each and every element, for each case we have to cross check this, that whatever we are getting the resultant value after applying the operator on the elements of the set, whatever the answer we are getting, it must belong to that particular set itself. Like we don't have to check for the one or two only, we have to check for the multiples. Okay, so like multiples for all itself, like okay, for all the elements we have to we have to do the cross check. Okay, so if anyone dissatisfy the this particular criteria, then directly we have to say it is not satisfying the closure property. Okay, so while doing the sum of the minus 1 into the minus 1, or I'm doing the sum of the 1 plus 1, we're getting the resultant as minus 2 and 2. It is clear, like minus 2 and 2 is not there in this particular set A. That's why we can directly say that it is the not this particulars and addition A set is not satisfying the closure property under the addition operation. I hope it is clear. So same thing we have to do for the multiplication, as we are seeing in this example. By applying the multiplication operation on set A, we already have whatever we have the answer result as a resultant all belongs to the set A. That means it is closed under the multiplication operation. What is closed? Set A is closed under the multiplication operation. That means it is satisfying the closure property itself. Right? I hope it is clear. Next thing is, that's right, associativity property. What about the associativity property? Associative property, as we have already discussed in many of you already have learned regarding associative property in the set theory itself. Like set theory also consists of these kind of properties like associativity, commutativity, identity property. So same thing we are discussing here also with the algebraic structure itself. Their definitions, the generalized form is same as it is that we have already learned before in the set theory itself also. So but their definition with some structure is changed here, right? If I'm saying that if you're getting this point, the structure is different, properties, general definitions are same here also. So we can understand this particular associativity theory with the help of example here. So it's the general form to understand the associativity property that is mentioned here. So in this example we have the Q as a set of the rational numbers, and we have this operation on the A and B. A, small a and small b are the elements that belongs to the set Q, right? And Q is a set of rational numbers. I hope everybody aware about the rational numbers that comes in the which is in the form of the P by Q, right? So this I've already told you in the definition of the algebraic structure, like with the operator that whatever you are assigning as the symbol here, this star, it doesn't indicate here the multiplication symbol. Its definition is mentioned here. Like wherever you are applying the star operation in between the elements of the set Q, that its definition will be as like this: a plus b minus ab, where all a and b must belongs to the capital Q, that is a set of the rational numbers. Okay, so you have to check it out that particular star operator is associative or not. So to check this thing, we are taking here the associativity property. From the associativity property, first we will take the left hand side, then after we will take the right hand side. If we are getting the same as a resultant after applying the operator definition, same thing if we are getting, that means it is satisfying the associativity property. So first we have taken the left hand side, we have mentioned the definition here, a star b, that means a plus b minus ab. Then in closer we have the c with the operator, that means now we will consider this particular complete this set as a and this one is b. Then we will apply this particular thing here as the definition we have already seen there as the definition of this particular operation, right? So in the same manner we will check for the right hand side also. If you are getting the same answer as our left hand and right hand, then it is satisfying the property, associativity property. I hope it is also clear for everyone. If it is not clear, then take the rewind of the video and again see the same thing that I have already taught you. Next is the commutative property. What about the commutative property? Commutativity means if you are applying the operation on two elements of the set A, that means if your associativity doesn't matter, like if you are taking the right hand side first, then if you're taking any element at the right hand side or left hand side of the operator, it means same, both resultant, both will be resultant as the same thing. So it doesn't affect the complete output whatever you will get at the end of the after applying the operator, right? So we can understand this particular property with the help of example here. Q, same here, example is the same. Q is the set of rational numbers, a star b is the operator. If here the operator definition is given as ab divided by 2, so we have to check here associativity property and commutativity property. So in this example we are clear that like if you are applying the ab, a star b or b star b, whatever you have to apply, you will get ab divided by 2. B, either you can write ab divided 2 or ba divided 2, it's all same. So it's satisfying the commutative property. Same for the associativity, first take the left hand side of the property, then right hand side of the property. By applying the both things, we are getting the same resultant values. So that means it is also satisfying the associativity property. I hope it is also clear for everyone. So next thing that we have to understand, the next property, that is identity property. So students, try to just stay tuned with the content. It will help you a lot in understanding the further topics, like if we will study the further topics like monoids, semi groups, abelian groups. All these properties will help you out in understanding those topics. So if you are not clear with these topics, then it will be a problem for you, right? So just make sure you are clear with these things, okay? So what next is our identity property, right? So same thing is there in identity property. If you are applying any operation on any element A which belongs to the set A, and E, here E is representing the identity element, okay? A is representing the identity element. If you are applying the identity element on the right hand side, either on the right hand side or on the left hand side, it will give you as a resultant the element itself. What it means that if you are taking an example of the integer, set of integers is given here, like I'm taking here any set of integer, I is representing here any set of integer, like integer could be like minus or plus, like a dot dot dot. If I'm representing here -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and so on, right? So this is integer, set of integers. Like if we are applying the identity property on the set of integer, what it's mean, if I am taking set one element from set of integers like I'm taking 2 as the value of A, right? And we have to find out what should be the value of E. What should be the value of E in order to get that particular element same. What it's mean, if we are applying the addition operator, for example, this star is mean for the addition of the A and E. For example, we can take, I'm just taking it, just hold on. I'm erasing this. I'm taking the definition of operator as plus, right? So if we have to, what we have to add here in 2 to get the same answer as a resultant. Of course, if we will add 0 in any element, it will be resultant as the same value. So it is clear that for the additive property, like if you are applying the addition operation to get the identity element, we always add 0 in that particular element to get the same element, because it's very general thing. If you will add the 0 in any element, you will get the same thing, and this is the property of identity. What you have to add as the identity element to get the same element A as a resultant value. So what it will be? 0. So now you have to do the cross check. This is the value of E. Whatever you got here as 0, is it belongs to the I set or not? If it belongs to the set itself, then you can say it is satisfying the identity property, otherwise not satisfying. I hope it is clear. Here this 0 is also a part of integer set, right? So you can say that addition operation with the integer set also satisfying the identity property. I hope it is clear with everyone, right? So in the next example, we are taking the same thing here. Here the definition of this operation is different. Like we are taking the definition as AB divided by 2, and we are applying the same thing to check the identity property. So just try it yourself. Next property is inverse property. In the inverse property, we have two elements A and B. We have two elements as A and B, right? So if we are taking the A and B or B and A, both are the same things, right? So after all, it's this property means is like what it want to say, its simple mean is that if you are applying any operation either on a or B or B or A, okay, so if after applying the operation you are getting the E is the identity element. E is our identity element. So as a resultant, it is compulsory to get the identity element with respect to that particular set and operator, whatever you are applying, right? As in the previous example, we have already taken the set of integers. Like I hope everybody is clear. Infinite, then -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and so on, right? So in which we are applying the addition operation. If we are taking here A, first we will take care of the like we are taking the multiplication here, then we will do the addition also, right? So to understand the thing, here b is the inverse of a, right? What it's mean here, b is the a inverse, right? We are taking it as a different different element, like it's representing the a inverse itself, right? Whatever is the value of b, let's assume value of a is 2. Furthermore, I am writing here, if value a is 2, then after applying the operator in between the a and a inverse, that is our b, right? It's our b. What should be there? There should be identity element, either this one or this one, star a e, right? So answer should be the same. So to satisfy this condition, what we have as the value of a is 2, like I'm writing here 2. What should be the value of a inverse here to get the identity element? What was the identity element here? I hope 0 in case of the addition, right? So as we have already discussed, like if you will see the previous example with the multiplication operation, then we can also do the same thing. So I'm just taking here, just hold on, I'm just taking correcting, like you can also take the multiplication also, as we have already discussed the in previous example with the uh, addition. So that is the reason I'm taking here addition itself, to avoid the repetition of the things. So you can take the addition also, right? So if I'm doing here addition, what should I have to add here to get the 0 answer as the identity element? So answer is very clear, I think. If you are add the negative value of that particular number, you will get the identity element. If I'm adding here -2, you will get the 0 at the answer, right? That now we have to check last one thing, that value of the a inverse, what we get here, -2. The value of a inverse, that is -2, it must belongs to the set I, whatever we have taken, like integers. Of course, yes, -2 is also integer that belongs to the set I. That means we are clear with this particular property. It is also satisfying the inverse property. What it mean? We have taken the example for the set of integers. It is satisfying the previous property, like identity property also and inverse property also. For which operator? Which for which operator? Plus operator, addition operator. Same thing you can check for the multiplication also, division also, and any operator you can apply on the set of integers, on set of natural numbers, either on the set of rational numbers. Any set you can take, but it should be the known empty. It could be finite or infinite, and any operator you can apply on that particular set. And with the combination of set and operator, you will get the algebraic structure. And after applying these properties, you can do the cross check, either these properties are satisfied on those particular sets or not. With the help of these properties and these things, we will study the next thing, that is all about our main topics. So come back to the main topics here. So I'm taking here our next thing, that is groupoid or binary algebra, or you can say algebraic structure. Okay, so if we have already discussed this thing. If we have the non-empty set G, here we are representing the set with G. You can take G, I, Q, A, anything as the name of the set, but it should be non-empty. We have already discussed this thing. With the one binary operation star, then you can say it as a groupoid. Okay, so groupoid or binary algebra, or you can say it as a quasi-group or algebraic structure. Both are the same. Everything is the same. If they are satisfying the closed under if they are this group G is closed under the star operator. What it's mean? Whatever you are applying as a binary operation, if this group is satisfying the closure property under this operation, then you can say it is called as a quasi group or groupoid or binary algebra. So there is an example, and this is a representation. Like you have to write the Z comma or operator, binary operator, whatever you are applying here on that particular set G, right? So example is n plus. I hope all of you are aware about this. N is the set of natural numbers and plus is the operation that we are applying on that particular set n. The next example, Z is the set of integer numbers and minus is the negative subtraction operation that we are applying here on that particular set. In the next one is our semi group. So to satisfy the properties of first one, like groupoid or algebraic set next binary algebra, what we have to satisfy? Closure property. In the next one, semi group. In to satisfy the property, to satisfy the condition of the semi group, it is must, it should be an algebraic structure. First of all, what it's mean? It any set whatever we are taking as a uh, to satisfy the property of the semi group, it must be algebraic structure. What it's mean? It must satisfy the property like closure property. If any group of if any set is satisfying the closure property, then we will further do the check for the associativity property. So here, for the semi group, it first satisfy the closure property, then after only we will check it for the associativity. If it fails to satisfy the first one, if any set failed to satisfy the closure property itself, then we will never check for the associativity. It is common sense that if it is not satisfying the closure property, it will not move forward. Okay, so if it is satisfying the closure property, then after we will check for the associativity. That's why in the definition it is already mentioned here, an algebraic structure is called a semi group if it is satisfy the associativity property. Okay, so in the example, we are seeing here n plus and z plus. We have already seen that like set of natural numbers and set of integers are satisfying the closure property, right? So that's why we have to check for the semi group also. So semi group, for the semi group we will check the associative property that we have already done in the property session, like how to check the associativity property. On the natural number set, we will apply the right hand side and left hand side, and we will do the cross check either they are both are the equal or not, right? If it equal, then it satisfies the associativity property, and if it is satisfying the associativity property, that means it is a semi group. Okay, so with the subtraction, in the same thing, with the same thing, if you are seeing here the z with the minus operator, what it meant is not satisfying under the subtraction, right? So that means it is not satisfying the associativity property with integer with the subtraction symbol. That means it is not the semi group. Integers with the negative operator is not the semi group. In the same manner, we have some power sets, unions, intersection operators in the power set is there. If you have already studied about the set theory, you all are aware about the power set also, right? So union and intersection are the operators, so these are also satisfying the associativity property. In that manner, you can see these are also satisfying the semi group properties or semi group criteria, so they also comes under the categories of semi group. Okay, so next we will do here, just hold on. In the next slide, what we have the definition of the monoid. What about the monoid? Monoid is same thing that we have already discussed earlier. Like first, for the algebraic structure, there must satisfy the closure property. For semi group, it must satisfy the associativity. For monoid, it must satisfy the identity property. In the same sequence that we have already studied, like if it is not satisfying any one of the closure and associativity property, we will not check for the identity. If any set is satisfying the closure and associativity property, then after only we will check the identity property. Okay, so in the identity property, this was the definition, and we will check the identity property that in whatever manner that we have already discussed, right? So in the same manner, we will check the same set natural numbers, and plus is the addition operation, and we will check for the monoid by checking the properties closure, associativity and identity. If all these three properties are satisfied, then you can say it is a monoid itself, right? So in the next we have the group. What about the group? As I've already mentioned, if you are cleared with the properties, then only you can understand these particular definitions or main role of these particular topics. Like these are the most important topics from subtopics of this topic, algebraic structure, from the exam university point of view also, and from competitive exam point of view also, right? So from both of the points, this is important one. So if you're not getting these things, just rewind the video and take the screenshot and practice the things. I will provide you at the end of the lecture the practice content also, so just work on these things. After getting these things, we will move forward in the next lecture. Okay, so along with it, I'm just completing it just like group. And group, in the group we have those four properties. four properties what we have, like first thing is, first we have the closure property, then then associativity property, then identity, and at last what we have here, inverse property. After satisfying these four properties, then you can say it is a group itself, right? And last we have abelian group. Abelian group, along with the previous four properties, one more property is there, commutative property. If we are satisfying these five properties, then you can say only it is an abelian group. Okay, so it was all about the groups. Okay, so it was up to now whatever we have discussed, it was all about group theory. So I'm sharing here the practice questions for you. So in the tabular format, you have to just do the practice, like on set of natural numbers for plus, minus, multiplication, division. Take the screenshot and practice these things. R is for the real numbers, E is the set of even numbers, O is the set of odd numbers, M is the matrices with their single binary operators. I have already mentioned here, right? So just do the practice, and see you in the next session. So up to then,